My guy! Look at you, shop apron and everything. Small trader now, eh? Somebody has to run it. Of course, of course. I used to help Papa there too, remember? Before I traveled.
Sit, both of you. Let me bring something small for your brother Chidi. He's traveled far.
He's always traveled far, Mama.
Evening settles slowly over a modest family compound. Somewhere beyond the fence, a generator hums, then fades. A lantern flickers to life on the veranda, casting warm amber light across two plastic chairs and a low wooden stool. Mama Tunde sits alone, shelling ground nuts into a bowl, the shells cracking softly between her fingers. She hums an old hymn under her breath, the kind of tune that has outlived every hardship this house has seen. For a moment, nothing moves. The night is still, and then she pauses. Something stirs beyond the gate, a sound she hasn't heard in 8 years. A suitcase drags across the dirt, 2 duffel bags, overstuffed and travel-worn, and there he is, Tunde, home at last, grinning like a man who has rehearsed this exact moment 1,000 times on the long flight over. He calls out her name before he's even fully through the gate, his voice too loud for the quiet compound, too bright for the hour. Mama Tunde rises so fast, the bowl nearly slips from her lap. She crosses the veranda in a few quick steps and takes his face in both hands, searching it for the boy she remembers, for every year she missed while he was gone. Then she pulls him into an embrace that says more than any words could. 8 years, 8 years of postcards and phone calls and money sent when it could be spared. 8 years condensed into a single, overwhelming moment on a dark veranda. He talks fast, excitedly, about gifts he's brought, about the life he's built abroad, about how he always said he'd come back and find things transformed. And for a moment, his mother's smile is everything he hoped it would be. But watch her eyes. Just behind the joy, something flickers. A glance toward the shop next door, where a single light still glows warm against the night. Tunde doesn't notice. He's already looking around the compound, the way a man might inspect something he's proud to call his own. The fence, freshly painted, the yard, well kept, already claiming credit before he's asked a single question about who did the work. And then, from the shop doorway, a second figure steps into the light. Chidi, wiping his hands on a stained rag, still wearing his work apron, moving with the tired efficiency of someone who has spent the whole day on his feet. He stops the moment he sees his brother. Something in his posture goes still, not surprise exactly, but a kind of bracing, like a man readying himself for weather he can already feel coming. The greeting between the brothers is warm on the surface and hollow underneath.
My guy! Look at you, shop apron and everything. Small trader now, eh? Somebody has to run it. Of course, of course. I used to help Papa there too, remember? Before I traveled.
Sit, both of you. Let me bring something small for your brother Chidi. He's traveled far.
He's always traveled far, Mama.
Ease the tension, offering food, offering rest, offering the comfort of ordinary hospitality. But it's too late for that. The words start slow and then come faster, sharper, years of quiet resentment, finally finding a voice. Money sent from abroad, here if they were lucky. A shop that nearly closed, twice, while one brother built a life overseas and the other held the family together with his own 2 hands. A debt paid down, month after month in silence, without recognition, without thanks. Accusations rise, old wounds tear back open. One brother insists his sacrifice mattered just as much, made from a distance, in a different currency of love. The other insists that presence is its own kind of currency, one that can't be wired home, one that has to be lived, day after unglamorous day. For a long moment, there is only silence, years of unsaid things hanging heavy in the lantern light, thick enough to touch. And then Mama Tunde rises, not in anger, but with the quiet, unshakable weight of a woman who has carried far more than either of her sons will ever fully understand. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't have to. Both men lower themselves back into their seats like boys again, chastened, waiting. She speaks slowly, carefully, laying each truth down like a stone. She reminds them that a mother does not measure her sons by identical scales, that one gave what could cross an ocean, and the other gave what could only be given by staying, that neither sacrifice is smaller, that neither son is owed more love than the other, no matter how loudly the world outside insists on comparing them. Something in Tunde begins, quietly, to soften. something in Chidi, after years of feeling invisible in his own home, begins, just as quietly, to let go of a little of the armor he's carried for so long. She tells them plainly that she is tired, that she does not have the strength left to referee two grown men fighting over who loves her correctly. That love was never meant to be a competition with a single winner. It never was, not for a single day of their childhood, and it isn't now. A long pause follows, and for the first time since he arrived, Tunde truly looks at his brother. Not at the shop, not at the compound, not at what has or hasn't been built in his absence, but at the man standing in front of him, exhausted and proud and unthanked for far too long. He asks quietly about the debt he never knew existed, and when his brother tells him he never asked, he doesn't argue. He simply admits that he didn't. It is perhaps the most honest thing he has said all night. He rises, crosses to the small table, picks up the rag his brother set down earlier in anger, and turns it over slowly in his hands. An ordinary object, suddenly carrying the weight of everything unsaid between them. He asks what time the shop opens. His brother tells him, and in his quiet, humbled reply, there is the beginning of something neither of them says out loud, but both of them understand. He drapes the rag over his shoulder. Nothing more needs to be said. It is a small gesture, wordless and unremarkable to anyone watching from outside. But between these two brothers, it is the first real step back toward each other in 8 long years. Their mother, watching, allows herself the smallest exhale of relief. She reminds them in the same breath that church is early tomorrow and that shirts will need ironing tonight. Ordinary words, spoken to return the evening to something ordinary again. Both sons answer her the way they did as boys. Yes, Mama. She settles back into a chair, picks up her bowl, resumes shelling groundnuts, humming her hymn once more. A little steadier now, a little lighter. The lantern flickers gently against the deepening night, and in the quiet that follows, for the first time since Tunde walked through that gate, the whole family seems, finally, to exhale together.